What's up, guys? It's WMMA here with an event breakdown of UFC Fight Night Emmett vs. Murphy. And I promise I'll make this starting quick because, shocker, the Apex card with a bunch of woman fights on it. Woo! They always make it so much better. And I swear, every time they start doing good, straight down back to the shitter and having boring decisions. And the second you start complaining, flatline knockout, flatline knockout. So I'm just going to complain and hope I'm completely wrong. So let's start, though, with Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. Dude, Vanessa Demopoulos, 5-3 in the UFC, had a close fight with Pupi Godinez in the LFA. Talita Alencar, bruh, all she's done is get beat up. Okay, she just spams takedowns, gets tired, and then gets beaten up really bad in the last round, right? Should have drawn the Contender Series. They rematch, and she just lost to, I think her name's, Stephanie Luciano. All she can do is grapple. And now, do I trust Demopoulos? Do I trust Vanessa Demopoulos to have the counter grappling to just sit through and win a 29-28? 29-28, shocking. Maybe. Dude, I'm not watching Vanessa Demopoulos tape. She 5-3, 5-2 in the LFA too. Like, she's probably gonna beat Talita Alencar, who is nowhere near the experience. But yeah, Vanessa Demopoulos by decision. Whoa. Moving on to a slightly better fight. Victor Henry. By the way, you're 37. You're not Tarzan. Shave yourself. I'm talking about your head. That sounded a little weird. But 3-2 in the UFC. And the two losses to Charles Jourdain, I mean, the Canadian GOAT, right? Not a bad loss. And then the other loss to Rafael Assunção, who is pretty hard to judge. I swear he looks horrible one night, and then, I mean, it could be age too, and he's retired now, but somewhat of a legend and not that bad of a loss is my main point. Versus Pedro Falcão, who, looking at him, you might be convinced he's good because he looks like he should be locked up in El Salvador. But his opponent on the Contender Series I almost said threw. He landed 8 strikes and then just got ground and pound finished because, of course, you've landed 8 strikes. Maybe show some resilience. And then when this guy, Pedro Falcão, fought in the UFC, lost to Victor Hugo, who I thought might have been something, but who isn't looking the best either, Victor Hugo. But yeah, who is Pedro Falcão? At least Victor Henry has proven himself. Pedro Falcão looks like he could eat a mean old head kick. The only decision I think I have to make in this is if Victor Henry is going to finish him or 30-27 him. I'm going to go Victor Henry 30-27 just because it's 135, the weight class. Yeah, Victor Henry by decision. I promise I'll make these women's fights quick, bro. Loma, look, boom. I mean, I was behind her, and now she's kind of lost a couple fights, looked worse than I thought she would, versus Istela Nunes. Okay, Istela Nunes is 0-4 in the UFC. Loma Lookboonmee is 6-2, losing to Angela Hill and beats me, bruh. But she beat Sam Hughes. Istela Nunes lost to Sam Hughes. Not to do MMA math, and not that we need to, because Istela Nunes is 0-4 in the UFC. But that's there, right? So Loma Lookboonmee's regional scene loss, dude, bruh, click on this. That's a Filipino guy, bruh. That ain't no Thai girl. That's a lady boy. Loma Lookboonmee got fooled. That wasn't fair, though. The other losses aren't that bad. She's just probably going to walk through Istela Nunes. And what I mean by walk through, 29-28 decision. Shocker. I know. But let's move on. Because these fights start to get a tiny bit better. I mean, no they don't, but I'm going to lie to myself because I'm a UFC fan. So Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunza. Dude, Rhys McKee is 0-4 in the UFC, and Chitty's not a bad loss. Angelusa, the tough out of all tough outs, right? It's an okay loss, but not really acceptable. Chimaev, very fair loss, especially in a debut. Now, he's losing to Alex, the abominable snowman Morono, the great ape. How are you losing to Alex Morono? That one is a little hard to understand. Especially, dude, was it at 170 he lost to Morono? What? Dude, Moreno, if Moreno dieted, he could be like 145. No, he's too wide. But he could be 155. And he's proven it. And Rhys McKee still lost him, I think, at 170. But then, like, okay, I'm saying all these things about Rhys McKee not being that good. But the other losses aren't too bad. Then you look at Daniel Frunza. I'm going to call him Daniel from now on. Dude, his Contender Series opponent just kept spam double legging like he was in a video game. And it worked a bit, but he just kept getting caught. Completely gasses. Because, dude, watch your stamina bars right there in the top right corner. You gassed out, though. Finished, like in the second round, his opponent gassed out. And he didn't look the most energy either. And when I see Rhys McKee, I'm not seeing his opponents, even though he's fighting Alex Moreno, I'm not seeing his opponents gas out in the second, flop over, and just get clobbered. Like, what? This guy has not proven anything to me. I think Rhys McKee's going to get his first win and save himself from being cut. And I think he's even going to finish this guy. Round 3, TKO or like a smother submission. But probably round 3 TKO for Rhys McKee. Moving on. Do another burner. Daniel Belbiţă Donita versus Barbosa. Now, this is the Barbosa. She's 1-1 in the UFC. But Barbosa's 1-1 with a loss to Miranda Maverick, who I thought was going to be something. Miranda Maverick has not been consistent. But has also been robbed a bit, to be fair. Daniel Belbiţă. Now, I think this is going to make it pretty clear. 2-5 in the UFC. Lost to Molly McCann. There is a laundry list of jokes, but I do not want to be turned into a meatball. So just go Dione Barbosa by probably decision. 29-28. Shocker. Getting controversial in these women's fights, guys. But not much to say about them. Now, this is the fight I want the most for Davey Grant to win. How could you root against the bloke? See, he's 7-6 in the UFC, but he's so underrated. Is he coming off? No, I think he's coming off a win, but he did go to a split decision with Daniel Marcos. He's now 17-0. And I thought Daniel Marcos wasn't going to be much, but he just keeps edging out these people. Right? And then you look at this guy, Daniel Santos. He's 12-2. I thought he was 9-2, but he finished Castaneda, which was good, which is a good win. Castaneda's hit or miss, though, it feels like. And Castaneda looked broken, too. And Daniel Santos is like, he has another win. He's 2-1 in the UFC. But you look at that Julio Arce fight. He almost got 3x'd in the significant strikes. I think they were 120-50 against Julio Arce. Dude, I don't know much about this Julio Arce fella, but I know Davey Grant is going to ram Daniel Santos' head into the ground like a railroad spike. Let's go, Davey Grant. Round 2. TKO. I think he's going to break him. It's not going to be like a flatline finish. But, I mean, it can't go against my man, Davey Grant. Now, this fight. Dude. Hate this fight. Gurule versus Osbourne. So, I mean, I was trying to break down, like, who these guys are fighting and all that. Gurule has... His only good win is against Piccanini, who's like 7-0. The rest are nobodies, and I'm scrolling through, and I'm like, wait, he debuted in 2022. Osbourne debuted in 2015. And Osbourne is 4-6 in the UFC, losing to Manel Kopp, Asu Amabayev, Jafel Filho. Damn, I pulled that one out of the bag. Who's the most recent one, though? Ronaldo Rodriguez, which aged even worse. It was already a bad loss because Ronaldo Rodriguez didn't look too good. But what? Who knows, bro? I already forget the guy who beat him, but maybe he'll turn into something. But, dude, Osbourne debuted in 2015. There's so much more experience there. Even if he's losing to a lot of guys at flyweights. Flyweights are skilled, man. And I don't think Gurule is skilled. Gurule? I'm not going to hold myself up on it. It doesn't matter. Osbourne might finish him. That's how much I'm banking off this experience. Osbourne, he's gonna have that annoying leg. He's gonna catch him the same way he caught Ronaldo Rodriguez. He's not gonna finish him though. 29-28 Buday Osbourne. He makes it look more difficult than he needs to, but he's definitely going to be better. I don't know why I said definitely, as if I'm so sure. Let's go, bro. Torrez Finney versus Robert Valentin. Dude, Robert Valentin, do you know how he got into the UFC? He beat the great Zoran Dodd. Dude, I know that with that name, Zoran Dodd is sitting in a cave with a friggin' cape on, pretending to be Dracula. Who is Zoran Dodd, you might ask? The great 15-25 contender. Dude, Zoran Dodd is absolutely awful, but he got into the Ultimate Fighter with it. Wins the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know how. The way he's looking at me, I just can't stop looking back. It's such a crooked way to look at someone. But then now he's fighting Torrez Finney. Now I'll tell you what, Robert Valentin lost his first fight getting crucifixed and TKO'd from ground and pound. Now, if you don't think this big hunk of meatball isn't going to do the same thing, dude, what Torrez Finney, if EDP had to create an in-game like GTA model, he'd create Torrez Finney to make himself feel better about himself. This is EDP in an alternate dimension where he figured out how to diet and work out. Torrez Finney, now let's talk about actual accomplishments here. 3-0 on the Contender Series. So all his opponents, I'll read out the records. 8-2, 7-1, 6-0. That's a lot better than beating a guy who's 15-25. You can argue the experience. The experience of a 15-25 guy who's going to turtle. Dude, I could soccer kick a street hobo and put that on my record too. So what? Torrez Finney is at least beating people. And you know that last one, Dana was like pissed like, let's give him some. Come on. I'm sick of this shit. But it's going to be a Torrez Finney round 1 finish. Although I don't think Torrez Finney is going to go that far with this kind of build in middleweight, he's not going to stop at Robert Valentin. Let's be fair. Moving on. Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Now, I was going back and forth for a while on this one, because Gerald Meerschaert 12-10 in the UFC. Brad Tavares 12-10. Oh, he is 12-10, and then Brad Tavares is 15-10. So, like, how do we pick this? These are like super journeyman fighters, and both of them aren't looking good of recent. We've seen Brad Tavares lose to Bruno Silva, I think, by finish, to RoboCop by finish. Gerald Meerschaert, at least coming off the Edmund win. No, he's coming off the Reiner de Ritter loss, where he got out goofied. And then the Edmund win, where he was still getting hurt, but he still out goofied it. So, there's a few things that really stand out to me, though. Tavares looked solid in the Dricus fight. He was a step behind definitely in rounds 2 and 3, but solid in the Dricus fight, where Gerald Meerschaert didn't look as solid against Reiner de Ritter. That's a bit of a stretch to make that comparison, though. But here's some other things. Look at Gerald Meerschaert of recent. He's been getting hurt so much more. And when he's getting hurt, he's been able to use that as a trap against a lot of these guys. I'm not confident that trap will work into a guy as composed now as Brad Tavares with all that experience. Brad Tavares will hurt him, but he's not going to get himself stuck in those stupid positions to get himself finished. And let's add on top of that some of the greatest middleweight takedown defense we have. I mean, a crazy run what he's been able to defend, right? And you add that into this fight, we're just going to defend. And the cardio, I think, leads more to Brad Tavares in this one. Right? So I think I'm going to go Brad Tavares 30-27, 29-28. I don't think it's... I mean, he never has carried the crazy pop to finish a guy like Gerald Meerschaert. Even Meerschaert's finisher. I do want to throw in, though, if you want to go on an underdog pick, Gerald Meerschaert. I saw the stat online. He has done the best against Khamzat Chimaev. Took the least significant strikes. The least control time. Just saying. Stole that shit right off the internet, though. But Brad Tavares by 30-27. Let's move on. I gotta... get this off my screen. I got a lot to say about Martin Buday. I don't know if it's a lot of good things. Let's start off as this. Martin Buday looks like, you know in the movie Alien when the alien bursts out of that lady's chest? He looks like the alien. He has that thick-ass torso where the alien could never make it out. So it just grew up inside him. Right? And it's just, he's just like holding on and incubating this damn alien inside him. He's walking around as if he's not infected, but he's definitely that guy that's bit and doesn't tell anyone, right? He needs to go on Ozempic. He could be an absolute marauder. He's already 5-1 in the UFC, but how much more damage would he do on Ozempic? And the last thing, he is a Shamil victim. Dude, I don't know how I feel about that. See, Kennedy Nzechukwu is 8-5 in the UFC, but that is so not telling of where he is in his career now. Because that is an 8-5 guy who is cutting down, right, to 205. He was 6'5". He's massive. He's not a lanky 6'5" like whoever that guy Alonzo Menafield just beat. He's not lanky like that. He's actually filled out quite a bit, right? And it doesn't look as filled out as you would think because of how proportional he is, but he is damn heavy. Now that he's a heavyweight, he's not going to have a problem with these dudes. And he's already ranked 15. I don't think he's going to have a problem until maybe like 7 when he's getting close to those Curtis Blades type matchups, right? There's not much to talk about other than making fun of Martin Buday. So I'm just going to say Kennedy Nzechukwu. He also, another reason why I'm so confident at heavyweight that Martin Buday isn't going to fluke some random overhand. Kennedy fights safe. He's not an idiot who's just like, oh, I'm bigger. I'm going to run out and finish him. Dirty. He's like, no, let me take my time, take my patience, find the shot, because I know I'll find it, and I know I'll finish him. Round 2 KO, Kennedy Nzechukwu. Pretty easy pick. What are the odds on it? -270? It should be even further. Now, Cortavious Romanius. Dude, first Quang Ho Lee. This does feel like we're making some stereotypical names here, but I got a lot. I will break down the career trajectory of Cortavious right now. So starts off, he's 0-1 in the UFC. Let's make that clear. Flat lane KO'd like a fool, right? By Ramon Tavares. That's who it was. Then takes a break, right? Fights. He beats Eric Vo. See, now we were talking about another great earlier on the card. Another great veteran. Now Eric Vo. Wait till you hear about Eric Vo. 15-28. And you know what? That win got him right back on the Contender Series, where he beats a guy in a pretty boring performance where he just out-edges him. Then makes it to the UFC and loses. So he has proven absolutely nothing. That's what I'm getting out of this, right? Like, absolutely zero. Now, we look on Quang Ho Lee on the other side. He had to go through Road to UFC, which these guys' records look better than they probably are because the level of competition isn't insane over there, but it is still so much better than Cortavious, right? So, let me tell you the records of the guy on Road to UFC. 11-1, 7-0. Fight gets canceled, and he has to fight the Road to UFC finalist, Long Zhao, who, by the way, has had a win since, and he beats him. Long Zhao is also 26-8. So he beat the not too experienced undefeated guys, and then also got to fight the super experienced crafty vet, Long Zhao, right? So it's like we've seen him fight multiple styles, right? Different people at different points in their career. He's proven so much more. He's a grappler, so I think Cortavious is going to look better than he probably should. Cortavious is still very athletic. Dude, why is he standing like that? It's like he's like a toddler you catch like stealing a cookie. It's like, dude, no one, you could move on. No one's holding you here. But Quang Ho Lee is probably going to 29-28 this. Moving on, Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito. And now, this one, I mean, I'm going to lean Joe Anderson Brito. But when you look at the stats, I'm not too confident why. It's more just a feeling thing. I mean, the odds back at 2, though, right? But look at Joe Anderson Brito, 5-2 in the UFC. Recent loss to Gomez. The other loss was a while ago. I think to like Bill Algier or something stupid. But, I mean, beat Gomez, right? Who then loses to Hyder Emil, which, not a bad loss to Philippines stand-up, right? Hyder Emil is the GOAT, and will always be the GOAT. Just waiting on the time to get his title shot. But then, Pat Sabatini, 6-2. Most recent losses, Diego Lopez, where he got KO'd. And here's another thing. When Joe Anderson Brito loses, it's not that bad. It's like, oh, he got outdone a bit, right? When Pat Sabatini loses, it's not pretty. He's getting finished by knockout in both those losses, being 6-2 in the UFC, right? Also, got to look at this is featherweight, so it's a little more age sensitive. We're looking at 30-year-old Brito versus 34-year-old Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini has also just been spamming grappling matches, which may look good for activity, but is it also not just more wear and tear in your body? Maybe. Maybe not, actually. But still, just spamming grappling matches. Jorgensen Brito more locked in on this damn UFC game. He's ready. Jorgensen Brito's also been fighting pretty boring. Just pick some big shots. And then clinch, big shots. He does have his moments where he looks amazing. They're not really showing up at this higher level. But I still think he has the skill just to be better than Pat Sabatini, right? It's not much to break down on this one, though. Jorgensen Brito, probably by another decision, too. I think this Apex card is going to get real stinky at the end. Not the main event. The main event might save it a bit because of who we're looking at. But, yeah, Jorgensen Brito by decision. Now, here we are on the main event. Josh Emmett versus Ryan Murphy, bruv. I got shot in the face, bruv. Someone help me. Isn't it so ironic that Lerone Murphy's, the career trajectory of having these kind of lackluster decisions and getting a long win streak, so much like Leon Edwards, talking the same. Leon Edwards does headshot dead, and this fool literally got shot in the head. Let's talk about the fight. Josh Emmett, the Goblin Ting, right? The literal blockhead, 10-4 in the UFC. Recent losses to Yair and Ilya, which aren't that bad, right? Ilya beat the piss out of him. Josh Emmett didn't show a single moment of success in the grand scheme of things. And he had some moments in the Yair fight, but he was just getting outdone. These technical guys have too much for Josh Emmett, especially the next generation. Now, do I want to call Lerone Murphy the next generation? He is 33. It doesn't feel too much like it with that age. But he is, trust me. And then 10-4 sure is a really good record when you look who he's fighting. But look at this. Calvin Kattar decision. He should have lost to Kattar. Dan Ige, he definitely could have lost that too. And then, even though he should have beat Shane Burgos, I don't like how close that was. Even though he got injured. Dude, everyone's injured. Suck it up. Cry about it, right? There's too many close calls. Are we going to bank on another Josh Emmett flatline KO? It's like, he built it up, he gets the KO win. He doesn't spam them back to back to back. He gets it. Now we're going to have to wait 2 months. Also, maybe just add, he flatline KOs Bryce Mitchell. So, when you get a beautiful performance where you take literally 0 damage, what's the play? Is it A, try to get a close fight right after? Yeah, and I get it. People are probably scared. Don't want to take matchups. Who cares? Keep the momentum. Even if you beat an absolute bum, it propels you, right? Or let's go to option B. Wait out a year and a couple months while you're 40 years old. Of course, he chose be active, right? No, not at all. He chose to be inactive. It's another thing. He's 40 now. Even though Lerone the Prospect Murphy isn't really a prospect and is 33. He's still not 40, right? So, some other things I gotta pick out from the Lerone Murphy side, that Edson Barbosa fight was insane. He showed he has a dog in him. Now, the cardio, sure, he had an insanely high output, but it is a completely different thing to be able to show off and dictate the pace and have your output versus having someone come back at you and make the fight a war, right? Because you can have cardio for days beating the shit out of someone. But I think real cardio is when you're in those adverse wars, you're bleeding, you've been hurt, and you still have that pace to push, right? But still, Edson Barbosa fight was impressive. Carried his power pretty well and kept cracking Edson, switching up low, middle, high, going everywhere with the shots, just winding in with big hooks, and that's how he gets caught in the Ige fight, right? Just dropped by Ige. That was... Now, what was impressive from that Ige knockdown, got right back up, got back in the fight, cracked Ige even with a flying knee. It was very impressive. Looked amazing for the rest of... Or not amazing, but looked well enough to clearly get that. But I'm just not happy with how he got knocked down. He way too hard overcommitted to a hook. You cannot do that against Josh Emmett. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows who he's fighting. Then again, you would say the same thing about Dan Ige. Even though Dan Ige isn't a level of puncher as Josh Emmett, how are you going to commit so hard to a hook, get that out of position, and get dropped like that? But then again, if Lerone Murphy is that much out of position with a hook, Josh Emmett's probably going to be an absolute oaf, try to counter with an even bigger, slower punch and miss it. Probably, right? And I don't see Lerone Murphy getting in a position like that and repeating it over and over. I think Josh Emmett's chances to get a big flatline knockout are going to be slim, and I don't think he's going to be able to pull those shots fast enough when he needs to. Do I think Lerone Murphy's going to finish him, though? No. Josh Emmett is still 50% goblin. Right? He's still pretty hard to finish. But Lerone Murphy, 49-46. We're not going to get another Josh Emmett robbery like he did against Cater. Yeah, I think we're going to get a solid Lerone Murphy decision. Shout out Lerone Murphy. Thanks for watching my event breakdown. Peace out.